This show is brought to you by Directory.com, the safest way to hire a contractor.
Welcome back to the Morning Brew with the Homeowners. I'm your host, Dmitry Lipinski. This is the show for the homeowners where we talk about crazy stories from crazy experiences of all kinds. Today, we're talking about 4 huge cases where defective building products wrecked homes and lives. The problems went way beyond standard warranty claims, forcing regular people to fight back against billion-dollar giants in court. It's never fun. If you have a story you want to share with us, you can also contact us and maybe even invite it in the show. I'm joined today with the 2 public adjusters, consumer advocates, Jack Hanks and Sam Cook. Sam has the story.
Absolutely. This is probably the biggest story we've covered, and probably one of the most well-known, but the details behind it are really crazy. So the backstory is, for decades, asbestos was used in construction, manufacturing all over the U.S. As a result, many workers were later diagnosed with deadly diseases like mesothelioma and lung cancer. And by the 1990s, asbestos lawsuits were flooding the courts. Companies like GAF, Certainteed had used asbestos in roofing, siding, insulation, other building materials for years. A group of 20 major manufacturers formed the Center of Claim Resolution, CCR, to settle all asbestos claims in one shot, including for people not yet sick but exposed. And the plan was to roll out one giant nationwide class action lawsuit that would replace thousands of individual lawsuits. Where it went wrong was in 1991, the class action was filed, but the deal put everyone, sick people and exposure-only folks, in the same category. It capped payouts, limited how many claims could be filed each year, and excluded some illnesses entirely. People who might get sick years later would lose the right to sue for full damages in court. Some plaintiffs didn't even know that they were included in the settlement. Lawyers for the class action had also made a side deal worth hundreds of millions with the same companies that were suing, raising questions about the fairness. And for the overall outcome, the appeals court shut it down, saying the agreement was too broad and unfair. Future asbestos lawsuits kept coming, and GAF spun off its asbestos liabilities into GI Holdings, which went bankrupt in 2001. Afterwards, they set up an asbestos trust to pay current and future claims. Certainteed, on the other hand, fought lawsuits for years, losing some big verdicts. In 2019, they split asbestos liabilities into a new company, which immediately filed for bankruptcy, forcing all current cases into a pause. It's a great business model for them. They're expected to form a trust to handle future claims, but none has been established to date.
Crazy. Jack, you've been around for a while.
Yeah.
In the 90s, you actually have been in business. What's your take on class actions, and how often have you seen it or dealt with them?
Well, I mean, the problem, like we talked about before on air, is the attorneys are taking a good hunk of that money, right? So, big money these big corporations are not going to go bankrupt because they're going to go bankrupt on purpose, not because they're forced into it. So there's a big chess game going on behind the scenes of all these things. And unfortunately, only people suffering are the people who are actually suffering from the asbestos exposure. These attorneys we see it time after time in the business we're in. They get rich, and the people who are actually the victims are the ones suffering still. So it's a problem. I mean, I remember being in grade school, we had asbestos everywhere back in the 70s. It wasn't even a thing. Nobody thought anything of it, right? They were on ships, they were in schools, they were in businesses, movie theaters, popcorn ceilings. I think people don't know it's a fire retardant, right? To diminish the fire issues and help keep the fire from spreading throughout these homes and businesses. But my God, what a mess.
Yeah, the nice part is, at least the one positive part is that we have checks and balances, right? That the appeals court actually shut it down and realized how major of an issue this could be. Imagine getting diagnosed 10, 15 years after this, or 5 or 10 years even, and finding out, you're not even allowed to sue. Someone else decided all your fate for you and put you in this big bucket. It's crazy that was even offered as an idea, but I'm glad that it got caught.
My question is about fairness. Like, imagine if you're a manufacturer, right? So where's liability lies? Because if you produce something, asbestos has a lot of good features as a product, as a as a building material, and that's why they've been using it. So if they did not have ill intent, if they did not study, I guess, enough, and now it's causing something. I mean, people can have cancer from silica dust and from from so
Pollution,
many things.
food.
Yeah. So when they're producing these materials, they're not thinking, okay, we're going to kill people. And then they found out, okay, it's bad. We're going to ban it. We're going to stop. But now they're liable for lives. And I feel bad for the people who have cancer. But where's that line?
Well, you know what I think it is? I think it's when they found out and when they actually stopped doing it. I'm sure there's a little bit of a lag time there, unfortunately. I'm sure there's some sort of...
Yeah, I think if you can prove that
Right.
you've been producing something after you know, that's where you're liable.
Correct.
But what if it's not known fact? It's just like your product caused harm, but you did not know.
I mean, how much due diligence do these companies owe to the consumer to research the product they're creating? There has to be some sort of
Accountability.
something,
100%.
right?
And especially if you're making money, because people always go, that's what I hate about our society. We go after bigger pockets. Like a lot of lawyers, like ambulance chasers, right? Like they pick a target like, okay, this company has billions of dollars. Let's go after it just because they can. And I feel like people hate big corporations in general. But class action lawsuits in general, it's my least favorite kind of legal action there is, because people get pennies. Lawyers get way too much, like millions. And if you're getting like $5,000-$10,000 settlement, it's just sad. Have you ever met anyone from asbestos affected cases?
No, I haven't for the asbestos, but I have for like California wildfires and a few other big events out there. And the problem is, like you just stated, they have $1 million loss and they get a check for $11,000 7 years later. That's not really a lot of help for anybody, is the problem. So, I mean, in theory, it makes a lot of sense because you're going after, you're combining efforts to go after one thing. But at the same time, man, by the time the pie is all split up, there's nothing left. And, bankrupting large corporations probably isn't great either for the economy. It's not going to be, and all the legal fees involved, and it ties up the court systems, and there's got to be a better way, right? There has to be.
To play devil's advocate on too, I know you talked about a minute ago the spread between when they found out and when they stopped production, but asbestos, like you mentioned earlier, was in everything, right? I've heard stories of all
It's
the
still
things
being made in China.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's still coming over, man.
Yeah.
In drywall. Yeah.
So if imagine like something so common that we don't even take, we don't even realize we found out it was, causing issues. How long would it take to change production of every siding, every roofing material, every insulation for modern manufacturers? Even with everything we have today, it would take years for them to transition. So I'm curious how much that lag time was from them finding out and them actually changing it was just due to the complexities of it.
I think there's similarity to tobacco industry back in the day, because people used to smoke, but we didn't have cancers, right, for decades. And then studies start coming out like, hey, it's bad for you. But what the tobacco companies did, they tried to prove that no, it's actually good for you. Like, look, this doctor says. So that's what Coke and Pepsi and sugar manufacturers doing today.
Yep.
They're pretty much buying research that proves their agenda because they want to keep money. I did not see it in our world, but I'm pretty sure, to your point, that they would not just cancel entire production and stop making money. And that's why I guess they're liable, because there are lawyers on both sides, and those lawyers get paid a lot. But the crazy part about this story, in my opinion, is like that you can legally go find another company, bankrupt it. Like that's crazy. That's like a loophole.
Well, they dumped that liability into that company and called it a day. Yeah.
But is it a loophole? Is it a fraud? Is it, because that should not be.
Well, this comes back to how do you hold a corporation liable, right? And this is a much longer discussion what we have time for. But, a human you can put in jail. You can't put a corporation in jail. It doesn't care. It's its own entity. And so how do you hold those accountable has been a question of capitalism for as long as it's stood.
Well, the bankruptcy laws are there to protect people when they make bad, horrible mistakes. These are egregious health mistakes, not financial, and I think that's the difference. And there's some morality clause there that's not being looked at is the problem.
I would say one thing we talked about in the last pod as well was the difference between the CEO that was in place during this versus the CEO that was in place when it happened, right? Like everyone that was in the board of directors and had any control over these decisions back in the 60s and 70s that might have hit it under the rug, they're not part of the organization 20, 30 years if they're even around. So how do you hold them accountable, hold the new people? I mean, it's just a moving target.
Sometimes I wonder how we survived 80s and 90s with all the paint and building materials and everything.
Seatbelts.
Yes. When we come back after the break, we actually will talk about brand new homes that turn out to be toxic. Imagine buying a house to be dangerous to live in. We'll be right back. Do not go anywhere.